So that fun little message. Okay. So first off, thank you guys so much for joining us today for Admin Mastermind. I have the honor and pleasure of interviewing Nicole Zuber, who is the head MAPS coach for Director of Operations. And so today we'll be able to ask some questions of Nicole about the importance of the DOO role and why it's important to have a MAPS coach. So Nicole is also a MAPS operations executive as well as a head coach. Her entire career she has built from her desire to influence, inspire, and motivate those around her to pursue their dreams, discover their full potential, and to defy the odds. Since 2003, Nicole has invested her time and expertise to produce over $4 billion in sales through real estate businesses and partnerships. Nicole has served as Director of Operations, Listing Agent, and CEO of her own businesses. She firmly believes that having firsthand experience of industry trenches only strengthens business partnerships to a much deeper and authentic level. When she isn't pouring into others, you can find her creating new experiences through intentional world travel, watching and studying American football, or practicing yoga. Nicole lives in Austin, Texas, with her husband and business partner of 20 years, Craig, and their children, Zach and Aspen. That's so cool. That's awesome. So where do you travel? Where's your favorite place to travel?
Oh man, like we were kind of all in a box for the last year or 15 months,
Yeah.
right? That was cool to hear again. I'm like, yes, that's exactly what I love to do. Oh gosh, we anywhere beachy. Like we've traveled all over the Caribbean. Our family lived in Hawaii for a year. That was fun.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So the three topics that I wanted to cover with Nicole today are the power of systems, the director of operations role in command, and growth within the director of operations role. So Nicole, my first question is, how did you get started with KW? And then what was the path to becoming the head director of operations coach?
Oh man, we only have how much time?
Yeah, exactly.
I was very fortunate to go through what we did before we found KW. My husband's actually, he's a third generation agent on both sides of his family.
Oh,
So
wow.
parents and both sets of grandparents retired from the industry. And when I first met his uncle, he's like, why don't you get into real estate? I was like, I don't know. And when I met Craig, he wanted nothing to do with real estate. He was like raised in open houses and all the things. So it wasn't until after we got married and had Zach, who's 18, that he realized, gosh, if we apply everything that I learned in the military and in corporate America to real estate, we could create life however we want it. And in a nutshell, that's how it started. So like it was 2003, and he went for it. And we had moved to Boise, Idaho, which is an amazing little place. And we didn't know anybody. So we just went for it, and I didn't know what I didn't know. So we'd be like, hey, go, there's a subdivision, go knock on doors. I'm like, all right, let's do it. But before that even happened, he went, like his first month, I think he got 10 under contract or something like that.
Wow.
Just, he never left the office until he found somebody that needed to buy or sell that day. And so he was starting to come home later, and I was bringing food to the office and all the things. And then I just, no intention, I just started taking like things off of his plate. And before I knew it, I was in the office with a playpen and a swing and doing all of his paperwork, so that like, and more started coming, more. And then one day he called and he's like, hey, where are you? And I'm like, oh, Zach and I were opening up a house. And he's like, okay. I'm like, somebody called and they wanted to buy it. And he's like, you need a license to do that.
Oh, my goodness.
My bad. So for the brokers out there like that, I told my designated broker years ago, I'm like, just plug your ears. So anyway, got licensed. We hired our first assistant, and then like it just opened up floodgates. So we were one of the first teams that but we were at a boutique brokerage. And then it was great. I kind of think about it, the market was like, doing things. So it was right. I started before it was cool to start selling real estate.
Yep.
And then we all know what happened in 08, 09. Market crashed. We lost nearly everything, absolutely everything. So like that was one of the most trying times in our lives. And I remember like I'd have 30 short sale files, and I was in sales and operations at the same time, like, and running for all you that did live in that world, like all of the back end stuff, it was a nightmare. So building systems and processes for that was kind of my, I think, therapy. So then when market crashed, like it was a really tough time. And it was also the greatest learning opportunity for us. And I'd have rather gone through it in my 20s than some of my clients who were like in their 60s, 70s, having like heart attacks and strokes from all the stress. So March of 2011, I met my forever mentor, my OP, Erica Hill. And the moment she and I met, like she gave me grace. Like, gosh, like, you think you're the only person going through this? Maybe that I needed to hear that. Maybe that wasn't as graceful, but and so we started rebuilding. So 2011 from ground zero, y'all, we had a negative $842,000 net worth. Negative.
Oh my goodness.
It took 5 years to get that number into the positive. And that's why through operations coaching, I'm so intentional with wealth building because I never want to experience that ever again. And we've been so passionate about it. And so we rebuilt our team in 2011, and it was fantastic. We started rereading this red book, like, I don't know.
Yeah. Like the real estate Bible, essentially.
Yeah. That's how it started there. So I'm telling you this backstory because I truly believe without those experiences, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. And I still have a long way to go. Nowhere near where it is that I know that I ought to go. So we rebuilt our team, and we rebuilt it in a way that kind of woke up one day. It was like 2015 or 16, and living in the laws of intention. Our business, like my husband had been coaching and whatnot, and I've always taken his job away from him. Where I wasn't the greatest, and this is total transparency, was finding another me behind me to come and take my job away from me.
Yep.
So if you think visionary and integrator, like I'm like 97% integrator. So with that being said, we woke up, and one of the things that took us down when we were one of the things is we were way under leveraged or over leveraged and undereducated. So with that, we were building and developing properties in like all over the country, even Hawaii. I was taking a builder team. We were taking a builder team from Boise and flying them out to Oahu and growing. And then the market crashed, and that's how that thing happened. So
wow.
2016, we got to where we were, and I kind of looked around and I'm like, gosh, we can kind of work wherever we want. And our business is running great. And so it took a good 6 months, but 6 to 9 months, we planned, and we picked up and moved to Oahu for a year so I could recalibrate, be present, and watch my kids surf. And I like Zoom and all that 411s. That was like, I'm old school in that, y'all.
Yeah, that was a normal for you before COVID. Yeah.
2017 style. Yeah. So, in that experience, and I was starting to coach part-time, and then it just continued to grow and continue to grow. And I think I was resistant and in denial that my strength was operations. I don't know if anyone else has ever felt like, I almost felt then like it was a less than role. And that's why I'm on a mission today, because let's be real. It's a partnership, and you can't have one without the other. You got to have the visionary, and you also have to have the integrator, and they're a rare breed. So the integrator, and then it's not a common thing. So I'm passionate about finding and helping integrators step into their light.
Yeah. What a powerful story. And the word that sticks out to my mind is relentless. With everything that's coming through your way, you've been able to just keep pushing forward, knowing that there's a brighter day coming ahead. And for those of you that don't know, the visionary and integrator, that's from the book Rocket Fuel. So if you haven't read that, I would definitely check that out. Very powerful book. I love that. So you coach director of operations all around the country. So when we're talking about systems and that's the important part of an integrator or director of operations role, what are the 3 systems that you feel that every director of operations should have in their role?
Ooh, can I screen share?
Yes, please.
I might have a visual.
Yeah.
So let's see here. So number one is clarity on vision. How about that? Gotta know what, like, if when you have a business and you're helping lead and make the vision come to play, you got to be clear on what the heck the vision is, right?
Yep.
So, and that's why I say partnership. If your rainmaker's not there yet, like, just be a partner, and you could start asking questions that will allow them to raise the lid. So here we go. So these are the job functions of a director of operations that we built. So database systems. So I'm giving you three more. I think, well, no, you asked for three. I'm gonna give
Love
you
that.
two more. So database systems, leadership, financials, and human resources. Notice the one that's red in the middle, like the heart, right? It's a leadership opportunity. So like making sure, I would say if I had to choose one, it's the leadership piece, because when you start mastering that, in order to lead people, you got to lead yourself first. So accountability, culture, reporting, and carrying out the vision, like, it's kind of the heartbeat, and it makes everything else easier or unnecessary.
I love that so much. And just how you said that the leadership is the heart. And when we talk about leadership, it's servant leadership, always willing to go above and beyond, not just for your clients, but for your team as well. And from my perspective, I'm the MCA at our market center. And so knowing that partnership between the TL MCA, just like a rainmaker and a director of operations, I love that. So we have some admins who are new to this. So how do they start? Because you see a chart like that, and that's pretty overwhelming to say, oh my goodness, 5 different functions. Where do they start?
Yeah. Well, you start by wanting more. So if you're feeling either like lost or unclear, and those aren't a bad thing, sometimes that's part of the process to get the clarity, right? There's support all around you through through MAPS coaching. And since I do geek out on spreadsheets and visuals, here's another one. So
Love it.
so the perfect real estate assistant, this is a group course. Oh, I don't know what I'm doing here. It's put on by Monica Reynolds, and she teaches you, and it's a lot of training. So she teaches you how to communicate with your rainmaker effectively, how to build out systems, how to find cadence in your role. She helps with scheduling and all those other things. And once you have those basics down, then the next level is of support, if you will, is the perfect operations team. And Monica and I have completely rewritten that program, and we're going to be launching again after Mega Camp in September.
Awesome.
And what you walk away with there is, so this is for like emerging. So if you're there, more than one executive assistant, and if your rainmaker's thinking about bringing on another, or you guys are, this is still a great course, because we go over all 3 roles in the in the administrative operation piece. And so from listing manager, transaction coordinator to DOO. And we spend 6 weeks on each one of those roles, and we help build out job descriptions, 411s, help you get clear on what you're accountable to in your role. I do love the numbers piece, and we give some light on quantifying the operation as well. So tying up reviews and referrals and how to put that into a 411. We give you the scripts to say there and all the things. So after that, we do have a very intensive 30, 60, 90 where you meet 4 times a week with a coach, and then obviously mastery coaching. But I did not intend to, I don't want to make this about sales or anything. I'm just I wanted to give a visual, because so many people don't know that that's out there for them.
Yeah, that's huge. And I mean, with my MAPS coach, that's the best leverage that the Market Center could have provided for myself, because how do I expect my OP or TL who are visionaries to train me when I'm an integrator? And so that's what I'm seeing with MAPS coaches, especially director of operations. You're providing that leverage for that team so you can help challenge their thinking and provide more systems and processes or classes further than what the Rainmaker probably could have. Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. So we are in Command. How have you seen Command integrate into the director of operations role?
Well, there's it's started with the DAs, or like getting paid, right? When it comes to the market.
Give me that money, please.
Right. That's a good place. That's the first place I saw it integrate. So go a little deeper on your question.
Yeah. So through Command in their database, do you see a lot of director of operations using Command for their database? And what are some wins that you've seen within director of operations outside of maybe the compliance payment piece of it?
Yeah. So like I mean, obviously add it in your smart plans. We just several months ago, we rolled out the team platform, and again, technology. We're in stabilization right now. I don't know if you've heard that over and over again, but we're in stabilization, and we're continuing to forge through. So one thing where I see teams have success is maybe if they didn't have like an effective 36 touch, or 8x8 or 12 direct, all the things. Mm-hmm. Getting clients set up in the database as you're cleaning it up with the simple home evaluations and neighborhood watch, like that does a lot of the heavy lifting on reminding people, hey, we're here to help if you had any questions. That's one big thing that I see.
Yeah, and that's what I've also seen with other teams is a big within the director of operations, part of their 135 is increasing the reviews and referrals. So creating smart plans in your database and just triggering those of, hey, we've closed this transaction, please send us a review, or we would love a referral in that case. So I love that aspect of maybe creating a smart plan on your own so that triggers or helps remind you as you close those transactions out.
Absolutely. And again, so no matter what role you're in the operation, like the systems need to be designed in a way so the client never has to pick up the phone and say what's happening in the transaction. Like you want your systems to always be ahead of the game there. And then once they close, that's a whole nother system where we focus on the client for life. Like the, Zillow and Redfin and all these other, companies that are intentionally going after the relationships that we've built over the years. They can't touch that personal touch. They can't touch the client events. They can't touch what happens, the human element, and they never will be able to. So with like follow-up plans after a closing, like that's the brick and mortar of a real estate business, is the Met database. I'm gonna go old school. In Command, we call them contacts, right?
Yep.
So brick and mortar of any real estate business, and operations job is to protect that.
Love that. Love that. Protecting that. That's huge. So as the head director of operations maps coach, what growth path have you seen some of your clients take? I know whenever potentially admin or director of operations are starting out in the position, they are starting out as an EA and then to one Rainmaker. So what does that growth look like, and how have you seen that developed within your clients?
Oh, wow. So that's a great one, because that's what fills the bucket the most. Like seeing the competence that transforms through my coaching partnerships is everything. I touched on the wealth building earlier. Like I have DOOs that, we make a base salary, right? And like sometimes there's profit involved, and it takes a lot to get there first, because you're not going to be able to measure profit unless so many other things are cleaned up and whatnot. So seeing that limited thinking of, hey, I'm just an employee, or hey, I'm like, grow past that to empower my clients to stand in their light, like I talked about. And then start doing things like tracking their net worth, creating family budgets, buying investment properties. It's why I wake up every day.
I love that. That's my kind of passion and desire from the MCA role. It's you're just behind the desk and you're a bookkeeper, and it's no, there is an opportunity to be a leadership and to reach more people. And I love that you're saying that, because I feel like we're exactly on the same page. Of that's what drives me, is to empower others to think bigger than they have thought for themselves, and to give them different tools or help them in a direction so they can think bigger for wealth. I love that. So, whenever you're in a map, so a lot of people may not know what a MAPS coach is or what the value they can provide to their business. So, can you tell me why every director of operations should have a MAPS coach?
Well, I shouldn't say everyone should have. I mean, like, I'm just gonna, I don't, there's what, 180,000 people in our ecosystem.
Yes.
And the people that are really yearning for more, that are looking at their role as, or they want to figure out a way to look at their role as a partnership and really be an asset to the business. That's why you would bring on a coach. And our job as coaches and operations coaches, for that matter, is we got to find, we'll find gaps. If you have a coach and they're not finding gaps, I always say, if I don't find a gap in your business, fire me, because I deserve it. So always got to find gaps. My kids don't love that trait about me, though.
Yeah, because I can't fire you. Unfortunately, I'm sorry.
Someday let's try. No, I'm just kidding. So yeah, it's a partnership. Your coach is your partner, your business partner in, I would say, life and business. And we don't sit and like just talk about all the gaps. I mean, there's coaching to the whole person. And what that means is, like, yes, you have a role and a job in the business, but you also have other things, like, I don't know, a family and potentially financial goals, health and fitness goals, etc. So I don't know if that answered your question.
Yeah, no, that's great. And yeah, I would agree. A MAPS coach is not just for business, right? It's to help all the areas in your life and really help move that needle forward. So, when we're talking about growth, what are some items that a director of operations should put on their growth plan? What are some, maybe outside of classes, books or podcasts or other options available to them that they should look at?
Well, the first podcast that you should get is Thinking Like a CEO.
Yep.
And that's, I've had a rainmaker tell me not too long ago, he's like, you really coach, you coach our DOO up to think like a business owner. And I mean, so Gary and Jay's podcast, Think Like a CEO, it's a phenomenal perspective, because when you really own your job and you are directing, you're not doing, you're directing. It's a big leadership piece. It's a very different mindset because, especially being, I mean, I'm guilty of it. Even when things, I still find myself going back, like, I'm a DIC personality, if that tells you anything. It's like,
Okay.
all over the place, right? So, like, let's go conquer the world. Yep. And add glitter, but wait, I have to analyze.
Yep.
So,
yep.
So Thinking Like a CEO is that's a great podcast. And depending upon where it is you want to go or grow to, there's, I don't know, that really understanding that one book that's red in color, The Man with the Mustache was part of it. So,
yep.
So MREI. And if you do grow the investment, like, you do want to start growing in purchasing and acquiring investment properties, like Hold is a phenomenal book. I've reread it. It's been a minute and I'm like, wow, this is so timeless. The other piece where my world literally changed and my perspective just, like, completely, like, my lenses went from here to, like, wow, here, was understanding shift. Truly, like, shift and understanding how markets work, and realizing, like, the market is always going to go up and down, and it is what it is. And when you know how to, I'm not saying it's uncomfortable, it is uncomfortable, let's be real. And when you also know what to do and how to future forecast, it makes everything else easier and it's not so scary.
Yeah, I love that. I love that so much. And for myself personally, I am on the path of creating wealth in terms of investments. And so that has kind of been on my path that my MAPS coach has helped me work with. And so it's been huge. And it's that scariness of the unknown, right? You don't know what to expect. And so you're just making sure that do I have, for my mind, it's do I have everything lined up in the right spots, but actually just doing it and feeling forward and just realizing I may make a mistake and that's okay. But at least I'm doing something that I want to do and moving forward with that.
Yeah. The like making a mistake is part of the growth. And it's, I mean, I'm sure it's easier said than done. I always say I'm a recovering perfectionist. I mean, you can play the human card, like you're not gonna, nobody's perfect. And you're never gonna grow though, or unless you get into action. And sometimes getting into action requires you feeling like, if you feel like you have a blindfold on and you're walking on a tightrope, I mean, it happens. And there's strategic ways to lean into growth without putting all the chips on the table and losing everything.
Yeah.
Take it from me. I was 26 years old and didn't know my head from my tail. I'm like, let's take over the world.
That's awesome. So as we wrap up on our time, because I want to respect your 9:30, the path to mastery that you had showed us, the first one was the perfect real estate assistant. So where can our director of operations go to find that class, to find out more information if they're interested?
Yeah, I love that. So want me to send you links so you can share with everybody?
Yeah, that would be awesome.
And I'll attach the 5 wheels. So if you want to share with your admin in the next mastermind or whatever.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
We'll just load you up with content. How does that sound?
I love that. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And for those of you online and here, we will end the Zoom and hop back on so we can continue this mastermind on everything that Nicole talked about. But Nicole, I want to thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. And this has been a huge, I've already have a whole page of notes from just this short amount of time. So thank you so much for providing value for us this morning.
My pleasure. Y'all take care, be
Okay.
safe, and we'll be in touch.
Yes. Thank you, Nicole.
Got it. Bye-bye.
Bye.